7 days chewing cloves shocked my blood sugar levels. What if one of the best weapons for managing your blood sugar wasn't some futuristic drug, but something hiding in your kitchen right now? Not a pill or a powder, but a tiny, humble spice. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? This little spice, the clove, is all over the internet, with confident claims that chewing a few a day can flatten your glucose spikes and change your metabolic health. It sounds too good, too simple, too easy to be true. And that's exactly what I thought, so I decided to put it to the test. Before we go any further, let's get one thing straight. We are not here today to debunk a natural remedy. We're here to test a very specific viral claim. It's about using data to see if the hype matches reality. I got myself a continuous glucose monitor, a bag of whole cloves, and for the next 7 days, I became a human guinea pig. I tracked every single rise and fall of my blood sugar to see what this trend really does inside the body. And I'll tell you right now, the results were not what I expected. They definitely surprised me, and I think they're going to surprise you. The promise versus the science before we dive into my week of tasting like a holiday decoration. Let's talk about why we're even here. The conversation around blood sugar has exploded. It's no longer just for people with diabetes. We're all becoming aware of it. We've all felt that post-lunch energy crash, that 3 p.m. slump, the brain fog, constant cravings. Many of these feelings are tied directly to the roller coaster of our blood glucose levels. So it's understandable why a solution that seems as natural and accessible as chewing a spice would go viral. That's the promise. But as a skeptic who believes in data, I had to look deeper. What makes cloves so special? They're packed with powerful compounds, most famously one called eugenol. But here's where it gets really interesting. The real buzz in the scientific community is around a concentrated, water-soluble, polyphenol-rich clove extract. One 2019 study gave people with both healthy and pre-diabetic glucose levels 250 milligrams of this extract daily. Over 30 days, they saw significant drops in their after-meal glucose levels, over 21% in healthy individuals and over 27% in those with prediabetes. That's a genuinely significant effect. The science suggests these compounds work in a few ways, helping your cells take up sugar from the blood, reducing the new sugar your liver makes, and even slowing down the enzymes that break down carbs. Essentially, they tackle glucose from multiple angles. But here is the critical distinction, the fine print that the viral videos conveniently forget to mention. These studies weren't about chewing a couple of whole cloves. They used a specific concentrated 250 milligram extract, and they did it for 30 days, not 7. My experiment is designed to test the viral claim. Can a regular person with a regular bag of cloves get any of these benefits in just 1 week? So my plan was simple. I'd wear this continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, 24/7. This device maps out how my body responds to everything I do. Before starting, I established my baseline. My fasting glucose was hovering around a healthy 92 milligrams DL. The protocol, chew 2 whole cloves, 3 times a day, morning, lunch, and evening. I kept my diet, exercise, and sleep exactly the same to isolate the variable. The only new thing would be the cloves. The question is, would this be enough to make a dent in my data? Let's find out. The 7-day journey, day 1. The experiment begins. Woke up, fasting glucose, 91 milligrams DL, normal. I popped 2 little dried flower buds in my mouth. The first 3 seconds are woody, almost floral. Then the eugenol hits you. It's an intense, pungent, almost numbing wave of flavor. It's the taste of the dentist's office, amplified. I chewed for a few minutes and swallowed. I had my standard oatmeal and berries and watched my glucose monitor. The curve went up to 135 milligrams DL and came back down. A totally standard response. Lunch, another dose of cloves. Salad with grilled chicken. Again, spike, peak, fall. Nothing out of the ordinary. Subjectively, I felt nothing. No rush of energy, no sudden clarity. Just the lingering spicy ghost of clove. Day 2, woke up. Fasting glucose. 94 milligrams DL, a normal variation for me. Today, I paid close attention to my breakfast response toast with avocado and an egg. I watched the app like a hawk. The curve climbed to 142 milligrams DL before coming down. A completely textbook response. The cloves were not blunting this spike in any discernible way. I did feel a tiny nagging headache. Was it the cloves? Dehydration? Just a random Tuesday? This is the problem with anecdotal evidence. Correlation isn't causation. I took my other doses, the routine starting to feel both monotonous and slightly absurd. Day 3, midpoint. Fasting glucose, 90 milligrams DL. My body's natural rhythm seems completely unbothered. The practicality or impracticality of this is becoming clear. I had a meeting after lunch and was genuinely self-conscious about my breath. I chewed gum furiously, but I'm fairly certain I just smelled like minty cloves. I looked at the data trends so far. The glucose curves rose and fell in direct response to what I ate and when I exercised. The little clove icons in my log didn't seem to precede any specific changes. If the cloves were doing anything, they were being incredibly subtle. Day 4, fasting glucose, 93 milligrams DL. The ship remained steady. Today I wondered, am I feeling more energetic? Is the 3 p.m. slump gone? The honest answer is no. This is the power of the placebo effect, or in my case, the lack of one. You want to believe the solution is this simple. But my body and the data it was generating remained stubbornly unimpressed. I had pasta for dinner, a food that reliably gives me a big spike. This was a great test. I chewed my cloves, ate the meal, and watched. The glucose curve shot up like a rocket to 160 milligrams DL. If the cloves were a dam holding back the flood, that dam had just been obliterated. Day 5, Friday. Fasting glucose, 91 milligrams DL. The consistency of my fasting numbers is a data point. The research I read noted that clove extract only lowered fasting glucose in prediabetic individuals, not healthy ones. My results seem to align perfectly with that. The social awkwardness came to a head today at lunch with a friend. I had to explain why I was about to pop 2 strange brown things in my mouth. It led to a fun conversation, but highlights this isn't a subtle habit. So, is it working? He asked. I showed him the graph from our meal. As far as I can tell, I said absolutely not. Day 6, Saturday. Woke up, fasting glucose, 88 milligrams DL. I had pancakes for breakfast. A guaranteed glucose roller coaster. I chewed my cloves, ate the pancakes, and prepared for the ride. My glucose soared, hitting my highest number of the week. At this point, the story is no longer, will this work? But why doesn't this work when so many people believe it does? It's a fascinating look into the world of viral wellness and the chasm between anecdotes and data. Day 7, the final day. My last day as a human spice pouch. Fasting glucose, 92 milligrams DL. I chewed my final morning dose with a sense of relief. I will not miss this taste. I spent the day looking back over the entire week's worth of data. It was like a diary of my metabolism. And the cloves? They were like little footnotes in the margins that the main text paid no attention to. The experiment was complete. Now, for the reveal. The reveal. Let's look at the data. Okay, the week is done. I've chewed 42 cloves and captured over 2,000 glucose readings. It's time to let the data talk. First, fasting blood glucose, a key indicator of metabolic health. Before the experiment, my 7-day average was 92 milligrams DL. After a week of chewing cloves, my 7-day average was 91.8 milligrams DL. That is not a change. That is a statistical rounding error. This result actually aligns with the published research, which found clove extract didn't impact fasting glucose in people with already healthy levels. So, on this front, And why out of one experiment confirms the science. But the viral claim is all about blunting those post-meal spikes. So let's compare identical meals. On the Tuesday before I started, I had oatmeal with blueberries. My glucose peaked at 138 milligram DL. Now, here's the graph from day 2 of the experiment. Same exact breakfast, after chewing cloves. My glucose peaked at 142 milligrams DL. The peak was actually 4 points higher. This is well within daily variation, but one thing is crystal clear. The spike was not blunted. It wasn't flattened. It wasn't mitigated in any way. Let's look at another one. Dinner, before the experiment. A meal of chicken and sweet potatoes produced this gentle curve, peaking at 125 milligrams DL. Here's that same meal on day 5, after chewing cloves. The curve is a mirror image. Peak, duration, shape indistinguishable. Finally, overall average glucose. Did chewing cloves make my blood sugar more stable? My average glucose for the week before was 104 milligrams DL. My average glucose for the week of chewing cloves was 106 milligrams DL. Again, functionally identical. The data is unequivocal. In my personal experiment, the viral hack of chewing whole cloves did absolutely nothing to my blood sugar dot, and this brings us back to the science. It explains everything. The studies used a concentrated 250 milligrams polyphenol-rich extract. To get that dose, you'd need to consume a huge amount of ground cloves, not chew a couple of whole ones. Furthermore, the studies ran for 30 days. My 7-day test of the viral quick fix was scientifically set up to fail. And it did. The nuance is gone in the viral videos, and what's left is a promise that can't be kept. Valuable? Make sure to hit that like button. Our goal is to give you clear, actionable information you can actually use. And let me know in the comments, have you ever tried a viral health hack? So, after 7 days, what was the shocking result? For me, the shocking result was that there was absolutely no effect. Nothing. Nada. Zilch. The internet promised a miracle. But my data shows a completely different reality. Now, why do I call this shocking? It's not shocking in a scientific sense. The result is what the research would predict. The shocking part is the sheer power and prevalence of the hype. The shock is that a claim with so little evidence to support it, chewing a few whole cloves for a quick fix, can become so widely accepted. We all want a simple solution, and that desire makes us vulnerable, but I want to be very clear. This doesn't mean cloves are useless. Far from it. They are packed with antioxidants. They have been used in traditional medicine for centuries. There's promising research on their role in health, especially as a concentrated extract under medical guidance. But we have to be precise. My experiment was a real-world test of a very specific viral claim, and that claim appears to be false. The main takeaway here isn't that natural remedies don't work. It's about the power of critical thinking. We need to ask questions. Is this an anecdote or data? Is it a whole food or a concentrated extract? What was the dose? What was the duration? The details are the difference between a real effect and wishful thinking. Remember, building a healthier body is a long game, not a quick fix. It's about consistent, sustainable habits, and while chewing cloves 3 times a day is a habit based on my data, it's not one that will be part of my blood sugar strategy. If this video saved you some time and effort, hit that subscribe button. I'm always testing trends to see what's real and what's hype. And for a video where I tested something that did have a surprising effect on my health, you can click the video on your screen right now. Thanks for watching. Disclaimer: all content presented here is for educational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Please consult your doctor or a registered dietitian for personalized health guidance, especially if you have a pre-existing medical condition.